We live in a world that glorifies speed, a world that constantly tells you to run faster, hustle harder, and never stop. We are taught that if you aren't constantly moving, you are failing, and someone else is taking your place. But what if the ultimate secret to success and survival isn't about how fast you can run, but about knowing exactly when to stop? To understand this, we need to look at the undisputed king of speed, the cheetah. Capable of going from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3 seconds, the cheetah is a biological marvel. Most people watch documentaries and marvel at their explosive hunts, assuming this animal is a creature of endless, high-octane energy. But science reveals a completely different reality, one that shatters our modern obsession with constant hustle. You see, a cheetah spends almost 90% of its entire life doing absolutely nothing. It lounges in the tall grass, closes its eyes, and rests with a profound, unapologetic stillness. If you put a cheetah in our modern human society, we would probably label it as lazy, unmotivated, or wasting its potential. But what researchers discovered about the biology of the cheetah's sprint holds a terrifying mirror up to human psychology. When a cheetah sprints, its body temperature skyrockets at a lethal rate. If it runs at top speed for more than roughly 30 seconds, its brain will literally begin to boil and shut down. It doesn't stop running because it catches the prey, or because it gets bored. It stops because if it takes even 10 more steps, it will die. Now think about your own life and the invisible predators you are constantly running from. We sprint toward promotions. We sprint to pay bills. We sprint to maintain relationships. And we sprint just to survive the week. We push our minds and bodies for months or even years without ever hitting the brakes. And then, one day, you wake up and you simply can't get out of bed. You feel a crushing exhaustion that a good night's sleep doesn't fix. A complete emotional and physical paralysis that we call burnout. When this happens, human beings do something incredibly toxic, something no other animal in nature does. We feel incredibly guilty. We stare at the ceiling, punishing ourselves for being weak, for losing our edge, for not being able to keep up with the pack. But what if your burnout isn't a sign of weakness at all? What if your total exhaustion is actually your body's emergency brake, desperately trying to stop your brain from overheating? This is where the cheetah's deepest lesson comes in. A lesson about the true nature of power. The cheetah never feels guilty for resting in the shade. It doesn't compare its resting time to the lion or the gazelle. It inherently understands a truth we have forgotten. Rest is not the opposite of work. Rest is the work. Without those profound periods of absolute stillness, the legendary speed simply cannot exist. You're trying to achieve the explosive success of a sprint while forcing yourself to run a never-ending marathon. To the outside world, your days of doing nothing, your quiet boundaries and your silence might look like you are giving up. But nature knows the truth. You are simply resetting your internal temperature. You are gathering the immense biological and psychological energy required for your next big leap. The most dangerous thing you can do is to ignore your body when it begs for the shade, because the wall of burnout isn't there to destroy you. It is there to save you from running yourself to death. The next time you feel completely drained and the heavy guilt of resting creeps into your mind, think of the cheetah. Forgive yourself for needing the shade. Embrace the stillness, because sometimes the most productive, life-saving thing you can possibly do is absolutely nothing.